Hey Jordan, it's Dr. McGlass, and I am trying to make sure that I give everybody some feedback on their websites. So I am here in Canvas looking at your China web page, and let me jump in here. Something I'm not sure what was on the About page. Oh, the About page is empty. I know you said you were having trouble with Weebly, but I would get rid of this page if you're in Weebly and go to pages. You can delete this if there's not going to be anything on it, or you could just rename it and use it for one of the other assignments. But I'm not too worried about that. That's a style thing. It's not a content thing. So let me get to the content. China's resources, natural resources. I scanned this a little bit earlier and I thought some of the resource descriptions were stronger than others, but I thought generally it was good. You made sure you gave me data and gave me some kind of statement to wrap it up. They have the largest workforce in the world. Remember at the end, I wanted to know, is it a strength or is it a weakness? Clearly, China is dominant in certain areas because they have the largest workforce in the world. Some people even will emphasize the fact that if they have 1.5 billion people and let's say the top fifth of them are highly skilled, highly educated, and working, that's 300 million people, and that's the size of the entire US population. So they kind of use that to show a comparison of how big that really is and what it means in terms of the force that they could become. Capital, this seemed a little bit sparse given how China's been advancing. It's okay that they're the world leader in industrial output. Certainly means they've got a lot of machinery and equipment, all this equipment that they produce, and they currently invest in capital. So, again, it's good. I guess I thought maybe there would be more stuff in here, but what you have is fine. Entrepreneurial ability, I thought, was probably the best one in this category, and I think that that's true for several of the assignments I've seen, and I think it's because you really have to dig in and put pieces together to give me an explanation, which is what analysis is about. Let me take different pieces of data, put it together, and tell you what the story is. So generally, though, I thought that the resource page turned out pretty well. Current events, though, I struggled with because this example that you're giving me, at least the way that you're spinning it, doesn't seem to be a current event that is actually showing a resource change. Much like unemployment just puts you inside the curve, having lots of empty buildings just puts you inside the curve. So you don't see a shift because there's been no actual change in the resources. So China's facing a crisis, housing market is crashing, there was an influx of construction buildings and homes. Now a lot of them are vacant. Well, that just means you're operating at an interior point. It doesn't mean there was a shift because there was not a change in the amount of capital that's out there. It's that a bunch of the capital's going unused. Entire cities constructed near them, no one inhabiting the area. My other problem here was that you certainly have started to illustrate what it is that you described, but this is not a production possibilities curve. A production possibilities curve has to have two kinds of output on it. That's why I had specified agriculture and manufacturing. And here you have housing, construction, and materials. Materials would be a resource. So that's, I don't know if you remember in class when I kept saying, please don't change the categories unless you check with me. And this is why, because now this isn't a PPC and you're going to end up losing a bunch of points on it. So overall, for the website, I think the structure of it's good. I think you have a decent start. I think that the page where you broke down the individual resources for China worked pretty well. It fell apart a little with this example. I think that you would need to find something else as your example of a resource change, and then also replace this graph with one that's actually showing production possibilities. My recommendation to everybody right now is that you take a look at this in the next few days while it's still fresh and go and make any corrections, because at the end of the semester, our final project, which is 150 points, so it's 15% of your grade, the final project is sharing your completed website with the rest of the class. And then we'll do my evaluation and peer evaluations. So you don't want to get to the end of the semester and realize you have all these corrections you should have made in the material since the beginning of the semester. It's much easier if you make a couple of changes now while it's fresh, and with each assignment, if I give you feedback that says maybe make these changes, then make them on the way. That way when we get to the end of the semester, then all the changes will be made and you won't have to do any extra work for that final project and showing off your website. So that's pretty much the feedback that I have for this assignment. If you have questions, of course, you can let me know, and I will see you in class next week.